Thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back. And this year's Jamhuri Day celebrations this Friday, that is the 12th of December 2025. The theme is centered around tourism. That is a deliberate choice by government, of course, to spotlight the sector that contribute close to 10% of Kenya's GDP and supports millions of livelihoods and remains one of the country's strongest foreign exchange earners. That is the conversation you're having this morning with the Director General for Tourism Regulatory Authority, that is Norbert Talam. He'll be telling us more about TRA and what they stand for at TRA. Hear them more about customer satisfaction, but they're here to tell us if that's what they stand for. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe, Director.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting myself and my colleague June from Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. And I'm glad to be here to actually, first and foremost, thank all Kenyans for supporting us and supporting our sector as Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife. And so far, so good. We are doing so well. Of course, numbers for last year speaks for itself.
We'll be getting deeper into that, but just to mention it, now that you've mentioned the CEO, June Chepkemei, she was to be here with us, but she unfortunately wasn't able to make it. And June Chepkemei is the CEO of Kenya Tourism Board. But Director is also very well qualified to tell us more about the health of the tourism sector as it stands. You've started so well. You've told us that the numbers are looking good. So what are we working with regard to the tourism sector? How is the outlook?
The outlook so far so good, and of course there are many strides that you have done so far, and as it is, just starting with last year's numbers, we closed last year at 2.4 million international arrivals. Of course, in terms of those domestic, it's 5 million, which is really a very reserved figure, considering that quite a number of our domestic tourists spend in those areas that are not well licensed, like Airbnbs, guest houses and all those. So we are actually estimating the figure for domestic tourism. Looking at where I'm seated, domestic tourism is in the region of 6-7 million. But our take is that we are going to make sure that going forward, those facilities, especially short-term rentals that are not regulated, are brought into regulatory space, including guest houses, and we're here to support the business. So far so good, and of course you are aware also that in terms of the launches, we have quite a number of launches that are coming up tomorrow by His Excellency the President, our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Rebecca Miano, both our PSS for wildlife and tourism. And for your information, yesterday, President actually did a wonderful job, and we really thank him for supporting us in this sector. We launched the Rhino, actually opening the largest or the biggest rhino sanctuary on earth. 3,200 square kilometers. So far we are doing so well. Of course, you are aware that also Jamhuri, this is the Jamhuri week. It is themed tourism, wildlife, and M.I.C.E. And I want to appeal to Kenyans. If you have not been to KICC, it is high time that you need to be there, enjoy what tourism offers. And tourism is our heritage. And tomorrow, again, the President will be opening quite a number of activities at KICC, doing quite a number of launches, I think 4 or 5. And on 12th, of course, there will be a very big announcement by His Excellency the President and our Cabinet Secretary. And we are all ready, and of course, including what will prosper this nation in terms of tourism and wildlife.
So good things in store for us this week.
Very good things.
Culminating on the 12th.
Yeah.
And when you talk about M.I.C.E, just to clarify for our viewer, there is meetings, incentives, conferencing, and exhibitions. And Kenya, we pride ourselves in being M.I.C.E, M.I.C.E hub. You'll be telling us more about that. But what does this mean for you as the industry now that this year's Jamhuri Day theme has been centered around tourism? Every year, Jamhuri Day has, different themes. But this year, we are shining the spotlight on the tourism industry. As TRA, from where you sit, what does this mean for you?
As TRA, basically, a regulator in the tourism sector, this means a lot. As TRA, we are here to certify the entire hospitality and hotels and hospitality industry and give confidence to the international and local tourists that are actually supposed to enjoy these facilities. And for us, in terms of a regulatory space, we are here to certify and assure all those coming into Kenya that Kenya is a safe space. Kenya is a premier destination that you can enjoy what you can enjoy elsewhere in the world. And for your information, by the way, Kenya is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. So we really want to appeal to all Kenyans that let's give our best in terms of the smile. And of course, Kenyans, we are known for the smile, for our hospitality, for our professionalism. And that is what we will actually engrave to push forward so that we push these numbers from 2.4 to 5.5 million by 2027.
All right.
Yeah.
This 2.4 to 5.5 million by 2027, it's so interesting because I wanted to come to that particular point. That will mean that to 2027, we have like about very few months, not even less than 20 months. But if we are looking at jumping from 2.4 to 5.5, is that a sustainable goal? And what are you trying to do as an industry to ensure that you are able to achieve this particular target of 5.5 million by 2027?
5.5 million is very, very achievable. It's very achievable. And looking at where we have the strategies that our cabinet secretary, our two PSS, ourselves as the CEOs in the sector, including the CEOs from the private sector, our partnership with private sector, 5.5 million is very, very attainable. Look at the new products that we have launched as a ministry in partnership with the private sector, in partnership with county governments. There is quite a number of products that are coming into perspective. We are also opening up new markets. And of course, speaking on behalf of my colleague from KTB, of course, they are doing a wonderful job in terms of the new markets, the Asia, the Europe, and also sustaining our traditional markets, which Kenya has done very, very well. There are quite a number of products that, of course, have been launched, the sports tourism, the cultural tourism. The president gave us this opportunity, and himself as a tour guide, 001. He has gone to the world and actually exposed Kenyan to the world. And we are really, really proud in our president, and we are looking forward to supporting his vision, plus now our cabinet secretary and also the other sagas within the ministry. And we are doing wonderfully well in terms of our partnership. Private sector are also feeling the same, and I'm glad because 90% of tourism is in the hands of the private sector. And in terms of employment, I will tell you, the employment within the tourism sector is in the region of between 800 to 1.1 million. And 90% again are the youth. So there's this joke that normally happen and normally said that we need to be called Ministry of Youth, because we are actually the biggest employer in terms of the youthful population as the ministry, as a sector. And we really thank the private sector, because that is what, as government, we enable. And for them is just to execute, and we serve this country together.
DG, I wanted for you to talk more about your mandate as TRA. Of course, you mentioned something about you are the regulator, but if we look at it deeply, what really do you do at TRA in terms of just regulations? You mentioned something about B&Bs, the hoteliers, but what do you regulate in terms of tourism? As
Tourism Regulatory Authority, first in terms of governance, we have a board led by our chair, Honorable Benjamin Washali. Very, very efficient board, very, very agile board. And we really thank His Excellency the President, our Cabinet Secretary, for giving us this kind of board, because it is from them that is, us as management, we will actually execute. So as a regulator, we regulate the entire tourism and hospitality sector. And this one starts from the licensing, registering and licensing all the operators in the sector. We also do accreditation and classification of all hotels. Classification basically is star rating of all the hotels, which His Excellency the President will be launching tomorrow, the next classification exercise. And the last one happened 6 years ago. So it's a very exciting time for us, and we are looking forward to getting that exercise done from next year. We also regulate curriculum, examination, and certify the hospitality curriculum in liaison with the Ministry of Education and TVETA. Other than that, code of ethics is also our business to make sure that we have code of ethics in tourism sector. And in this space of code of ethics, we are looking at the behavior, the professionalism within the tourism sector. So remember, when I say that we license from hotels, from private zoos, from those tour guides, tour operators, boat excursions, all those provided in the space of the tourism and hospitality, it's our business to license you. So in a simple, we regulate happiness, yes, in simple terms.
So maybe what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing when you're talking about regulation? Who is complying, who is not complying, the challenges that you're experiencing as an authority when now you are looking at everything and customer satisfaction is key to you, then what are some of the challenges?
In terms of challenges, I will actually want to put it in two spaces. One is an aspect of the facilities that are still outside there that are not regulated. And these facilities have come up because of the emerging trends within the tourism sector across the globe. A perfect example is the short-term rentals, commonly referred as Airbnb. Those ones, in terms of accommodations, they actually accommodate quite a number of our tourism, tourists, and some of them are not yet registered or licensed by TRA, and we are appealing to them because as a tourism regulatory authority, we are here to enable business. We are not here to stifle business because it is our belief that once all the operators within the sector are licensed, then all of us are be able to be regulated well. All of us are being put in a certain space that there's a level playing field. And one of the biggest challenges is that this I will call them a small sector within the tourism in terms of Airbnbs. There are quite a number that are still dodging, which we are actually, as a regulator, we are coming forward. And as it is, we most likely have experienced, TRA is now coming up very, very well in terms of moving around and making sure that we go into this space so that all these people are brought into it. Remember, there are two aspects about these short-term rentals. There's an aspect about security, which you are working with the Ministry of Interior and the Private Security Regulatory Authority to make sure that we also sensitize those in this sector so that they're able to come on board and offer the best service. The other one, which is it's not a big challenge, but it is something about our tour operators and tour guides. There's quite a number of cases, which are not really so many, but there are cases of a few characters here and there who are not licensed and they want to play in this space. And in the process, they end up now spoiling our destination as a country. So those ones are with them. I've cancelled I've cancelled quite a number of licenses as a regulator. And once I cancel a license, if you are now an operator, you are not allowed to operate in this country. So, and we have taken quite a number also to court. Those guys who have been caught conning tourists here and there, we are with them and we'll make sure that those ones are taken to court and they have to face the law. Yeah. So those are just a few challenges. The rest of the things, of course, we'll be working very, very closely with the private sector, the investors in this sector to make sure that we clean up the sector for the benefit of all Kenyans. Yes.
So at what point does TRA define, tourism experience as satisfactory? How does that look like for you when you say that, this experience is
In terms of, one of the biggest role of tourism regulatory is development of standards. And you have developed quite a number of standards. And these standards are internationally benchmarked. So, and these standards covers from service, from the kind of facility that you need to have, the kind of tourism service vehicle that you need to operate on, all those. So in terms of qualifying, this is a good service or a poor service, we will actually measure using our standards. And so far, we have done quite a number of sensitization of our standards, which are more than 20. And we are looking forward also in the next, you asked me a question, what is in it in store for us? Is rolling out these standards so that now we are able to improve our destination. So in terms of identifying whether these are poor service or a good service, it is very, very easy for us because we use a standard. And by the way, most of the international or even local tourists, they come to us complaining in case they are dissatisfied with the service that have been offered. And we go to that facility or we go to that tour operator and we are able to gauge. And most of the time, our standards are very, very clear in terms of this is what is expected from a participant in this sector. Yeah. So in terms of identification, it's very, very easy. Yeah.
Going back to Jamhuri Day celebrations, how are Kenyans getting involved, everyone in the country, you know, with this celebration that we are having at, you say KICC at the moment, and then it will culminate at the Uhuru Gardens on Friday. But a lot of Kenyans maybe say that they're in Mashinani, they cannot really access KICC at the moment. Say people who cannot travel all the way to Uhuru Gardens to just see what's in store for them. How are you ensuring that each and every Kenyan is involved with this?
Kenyans across the country are involved in this, and there was a meeting, and of course there have been quite a number of meetings that we have done with the county governments, and county governments also participate. Remember, Jamhuri is a whole country celebration. Right. So as it is, there is quite a number of participation, and what we have done as a Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife is to push more into the social media, into the youthful population, and driving the youthful agenda. We have quite a number of activities that are now rolling out, from youth excursions, from career talk, which is cutting across the country. But majority of them are actually happening in KICC, but we know some of the counties are also rolling out that in conjunction with our ministry. And more important is that the activities that are actually coming out. For example, the Kenya Utalii College are doing what you call food festivals. Of course, KTB are also running with the youth agenda, the photography, the competition. We are also, tomorrow night, we'll be having the Tourism Awards, which will be in Nairobi, but we are going to be awarding the best across the country. So if you look at this conversation, it is happening across the country simultaneously, accumulating into Uhuru Park, the way you said, on Friday. And we are really, really thankful to the Kenyans, because if you look at how Kenyans have posted, how the Kenyans have made this topic to trend. Internationally, the day before yesterday, Jamhuri celebration was the most trending. And we are really, really thankful to Kenyans. And if you look at all this, it helps in improving the sector that is coming out of the COVID pandemic. So from the COVID pandemic, right now, we are looking at a very, very good trajectory. And 5.5 again, it is going to be very achievable.
It is achievable.
Yes.
So are we seeing a full post-pandemic recovery now that you mentioned about, you know, COVID-19? Or are there some regions or subsectors that you say still remain behind past COVID-19?
No, from our sector, we are very, very deliberate in terms of bringing the entire sector, from wildlife, from the conservancy side, from the hospitality side, hotel side, all that. We are looking at how do you now make this sector to be vibrant across. And that we have made it possible through one, stakeholder engagement. We have got quite a number of stakeholder engagement. under the whole of ministry approach. And our CS has been out literally every day just to make sure that these aspects of pulling out of COVID is achievable. Number two, there's a lot of exemptions that you have done. VAT exemptions if you are buying a Land Cruiser or you are developing a hospitality facility. There's a duty waivers that we have been pushing. And for your information, there's a lot of facilities, a lot of tour operators that have benefited out of these VAT and tax exemptions. And that is why you see there's a lot of facilities that are coming up. And for your information, by mid next year, there will be additional 2,000 rooms in Nairobi. And that is marvelous. Bomas is also coming out very, very well. 11,000 seater to, I think, 12,000. You need to ask Kenyans to pass by there. The construction is quite going on very, very well. And all of us passed there. Of course, the CEO of Bomas, you need to invite him to come here so that he's able to now take you through the details. But for us, we are very, very happy in terms of MICE because we have KICC as our anchor MICE. Of course, there will be pronouncement by the president in terms of the direction of the MICE. And then now Bomas is coming in. We have also the other conferences, facilities that are privately owned. Some, in fact, not some. Majority of the hotels now are doing quite well in terms of conferencing. And it cuts across from Naivasha, Machakos, from Mount Kenya, Mombasa, quite a number of conferences that are happening across. And that is, it goes, and the downstream is even better because remember some of these conferences, the food that is being cooked there it's from a certain farm by a Wanjiko or Otieno or someone, and all that moves towards making Kenya better. Yeah.
And DG, what do you think you're focusing more as an industry, of course, with the ministry as well? Is it more about international tourism or domestic tourism? Of course, as we look toward the 5.5 million by 2027, what are you trying to strengthen more?
For me, it's not about, not even for me, but for the, because as it is, we are working very, very closely as a whole of ministry. And we are not only looking at international or local. Of course, we are, and as I said, we are opening up new spaces in terms of international, and then also domestic and regional. When you say regional, for example, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, and these are quite interactive in terms of Kenyans visiting Uganda and Rwanda, and also vice versa. For example, there was a Ugandan Coast conference which happened a month ago. Quite interesting. There's a lot of weddings done by Ugandans at the coast. So it means there's quite a lot of vibrancy within the EAC countries in terms of exchange of the regional tourism, and then also marketing to the globe as a region. And then secondly, there is now international space where Kenyans are now targeting the new markets, the Asia, the Pacific, and all those are actually supposed to increase the international. What is very important, it is the aspect of making tourism to be a whole year. And this is now our biggest concern. We don't need to, we are trying to see how to kill this aspect of seasonalities so that now the seasons that are internationals are quite low. Of course, the local tourism now prosper. And by that time, if you have tourism across all the year round, then in terms of achieving the 5.5 is going to be very, very, very attainable. Yeah.
And of course, we do acknowledge that domestic tourism is a critical component of advancing our tourism as a country. But of course, a lot of Kenyans are also quite reluctant when it comes to touring their own country. Some see it as a bit of luxury. Some see it as something that is quite expensive as it stands. So maybe if you can speak to that particular point where Kenyans hawataki kutembea Kenya. And we are seeing a lot of, say, regional guests, Tanzania, Ugandans coming to Kenya to tour Kenya more than we do ourselves. Then where would you say the problem is exactly?
What I will just want to mention in terms of is to encourage Kenyans to take a tour of their own country, because it is quite, when you travel abroad and you reach somewhere and a certain international, I don't want to say a Muzungu, ask you of a certain region in, for example, Turkana, where they are visited, or a certain place in Kizingitini, in Lamu, where they are visited, and you are an ordinary Kenyan, you have not gone there. So for us, in this ministry, we are encouraging and we are appealing to Kenyans to just take a drive, take a matatu and visit just the county across, and you'll realize that this Kenya is very, very beautiful place. And for, again, in terms of the incentives, in terms of course, the launch, there's a launch that KTB have done, Tembea Kenya, and there's a competition that KTB are trying to come up with, that you do a tour of a certain region that you have never been, take a photo, take a selfie, do a TikTok there, send to KTB, and they will be able to give you some rewards. So those are some of the things, incentive, especially to the youth. Under the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, there's an aspect about budget travel and or budget accommodation. As it is now, that is what we are trying to do as TRA, to make sure that those facilities that are offering a budget costs or budget travel are able to be supported. And that we did in last 1 year. We have done accreditation across the country. 1,614 facilities were accredited. And these are, of course, it ranges from the big facilities, the JW Marriott, Serenas, the Sarovas of this world, to the small Sarova in your own village. We are able to now make sure that they are accredited so that they are able to serve these Kenyans that are traveling across. And by the way, the 1,600 or almost 700 facilities that you accredited, it is 96,000 bed. So in terms of capacity to accommodate these Kenyans have capacity to accommodate. And again, that's why we're appealing to the so-called Airbnbs across, so that we're able also to come, accredit them, and make sure that we also market them, so that they enjoy this pie of this business. So, and we are very, very confident, especially now that you're approaching these festive seasons. We are looking at the vibrancy that has started in terms of Christmas and all those. We are really expecting Kenyans to be to be touring their own country, including yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And we can see that the messaging around this has been tailored quite well. When you talk about Tembea Kenya and of course the awards that somebody can get just by doing the things that you've said, taking a video of where they are. But looking at local tourism growth in the country, what can you pinpoint as an authority as something that is an hindrance to that? That is, is making it a challenge for Kenyans to explore their country more?
Yeah, I don't think there was a challenge. Where I'm seated is that the messaging in terms of domestic tourism had not come out properly. But as it is now, we have gotten it almost right in terms of messaging, because there's this perception that Kenyans have been having, that it's very expensive to travel. Right. And they have their own arrangements in terms of, instead of actually visiting a place, all of us run to our country. What I want to encourage Kenyans is that as you go towards your country, if you are coming from, let's say, Kisumu County, as you pass through Kisumu, can you pass Narok and all these other counties, so that you have a bucket list saying, I visited 5 counties, I visited 4 counties. And in the process, we are going to be touring Kenya in the long run. So for us, and where I'm seated, it was not really a big challenge. The aspect was, how do you package this to Kenyans and message it properly for Kenyans to understand that it is not very expensive for you to actually take a tour of your next neighboring county and enjoy their food, enjoy their hospitality, enjoy their culture. And by the way, we have done very well in terms of even the cultural, you call what the cultural festivities. For example, Ma festivals, the Turkana festival is Tobolon record. Yeah, we have also the the festivals that is in Samburu. So if you look at all those, and of course there is a very, it's an old one in Viga that happens around the Christmas time. So it is important that we tour the country, go to some of these festivals, and we enjoy what other communities have, including food, by the way. Yeah.
So when you talk about regulation, do you play a role in also stabilizing just prices or encouraging Kenyans to, tour Kenyan more, and also encourage Kenyan-friendly rate cards, such that, a Kenyan would see, would want to go somewhere and would say that, when I go there, I'll have to pay, say, 3,000 Kenyan shillings. That's a lot. So do you also regulate and stabilize these prices?
In terms of regulating of prices, Kenya is called what? It's price free. We don't regulate the price, but because the price is in the hands of a private sector. As what we do as the regulator is to make sure that standards are maintained. And once the standards are maintained, and we classify facilities from 5-star, 2-star, whatever star that we'll classify, when you classify, automatically it will influence your price. That's how pricing is. And that is why even those ones that are actually cannot be classified, we accredit them by giving them the mark of quality. That mark of quality, it enables you to sell, and it will also regulate, automatically to regulate the aspect of price. And more importantly, what I want the Kenyans to really take note is other than the pricing, there's an aspect about sustainability. There's an aspect about quality. There's an aspect about the hidden gems that we have in the country. So for me, where I'm seated is that the price, yes, it's an issue, but it's not as big issue as the way it's meant or
Again,
it's extrapolated.
messaging.
Yes, messaging. Yesterday, when you are at Savo, President mentioned that we are encouraging investors in the sector to invest in the hotels. And his message was very, very clear. When you come to Savo, it's going to be high-end hotels that are going to be put there. And again, of course, we have Kenyans who can pay that, but you also have Kenyans that can be accommodated near Savo and enjoy the same facilities at a very, very good price, budget price.
And DG, our products, our tourism products, which would you say are doing the best as it stands? We have wildlife, we have coastal tourism, we have M.I.C.E, as we talk about, that is conferencing, rather. From where you sit, which one is doing well?
Now, of course, we have through our traditional safari. It's still doing well. It's our traditional product. And of course, as we open to other products or the new products in terms of opening up the product bucket, of course, we still have to maintain the traditional safari and wildlife. And in that space, where I'm seated is that it is just refocusing our product range, so that now we have those guys. Of course, there are new products like photography. There is quite a number of tourists that are coming specifically to do photography. And the others are coming to enjoy the food. Others are coming to look at the cultural and all that. But the best, I will not say the best, but the traditional one that is doing very, very well, it remains safari and beach product.
Perhaps, would you say that for a very long time, we have really just talked about the big five, wildlife. Would you say it has overshadowed what we have to show as a country? Because we have a lot. We are talking about M.I.C.E in itself. We're talking about coastal tourism, the beaches, a lot to see in this country, culture as well. But we talk about the big five a lot. So would you say that us shining the spotlight on the big five is overshadowing every other thing?
Yeah, no, it's not. No, for me, where I'm sitting, it has not overshadowed. What we should actually be talking about is how that the big five supplements what we are offering. So that now it's not even, it's just complement, not supplement, complement. So that now, as we look at M.I.C.E. And by the way, M.I.C.E, there's a very interesting aspect about M.I.C.E, that the business travelers spend more than the ordinary tourists. So if, for example, you are coming for a M.I.C.E here in Nairobi, we can also give you an opportunity to visit the Nairobi National Park, to visit and enjoy the town life or the nightlife of Nairobi and all that. So for me, where I'm seated is that this aspect about wildlife, yes, it has been a focus for quite a number of time, but it will continue being a focus as long as it is still complementing the other products, for example, M.I.C.E, for example, the cultural tourism, sports tourism, for example, which is is coming up very, very well as a country. And with that alone, then it means we should be able to now have a product that has got a wide range of users. Yeah.
So as we come to the end of this conversation, DG, just an assurance that you'd give Kenyans this morning ahead of Jamhuri Day celebrations centered around tourism, wildlife, and M.I.C.E. You know, with regard to better standards, greater inclusion, when you're talking about tourism, what would you say?
Yeah, what I want to assure Kenyans this morning is that as Tourism Regulatory Authority, we are up to a task in regulating the sector. And more importantly, we are launching, and I've said it again, a national classification exercise. It will be launched by His Excellency the President tomorrow. With the launching of classification, we want to encourage all the sector players, the owners of these facilities, to come up, because we'll give them also a moratorium. For those who are ready, they can come, we start classifying them or rating them. For those who are not ready, there's a moratorium, because it's a national classification exercise. And that alone gives confidence to international and local tourism, putting Kenya in a wonderful trajectory towards making Kenya a premium destination. Number two is in terms of standards. Of course, with the classification, with the accreditation that you have already done, we will make sure that standards are maintained in terms of service and in terms of the facilities themselves. And facilities, I mean the hotel, I mean the tour service vehicles, those board excursions, all those facilities that we regulate as a regulator, will make sure that the standards are well maintained, so that anyone using those facilities are safe in terms of safety, and are also experiencing the service that they were expecting, or even if they can do over, it's better for us. So as it is, I want to encourage Kenyans that this is our country. Let's speak well of our country, and let's make sure that we market Kenya, because once you market Kenya, it comes to us, and now creating an economy that is prosperous for all of us to move forward. And I want to take this opportunity also to welcome Kenya to this Jamhuri Day celebration. It's themed, again, tourism, wildlife, and M.I.C.E. And I want to encourage Kenyans to come. Let's celebrate our heritage together and make this country great again.
Absolutely. Good things in store for everyone. Thank you so much, Director General, Tourism Regulatory Authority, Norbert Telam, for making time for us this morning. And happy Jamhuri Day, in case I don't see you again.
Happy Jamhuri Day.
All right.
Okay.
That is the conversation you're having this morning. Jamhuri Day this Friday is centered around tourism, wildlife, and M.I.C.E. M.I.C.E. means meetings, incentives, conferencing, and of course, exhibitions. Happy Jamhuri Day to you as well who's watching. And as we come to an end of this conversation, once again, we plug you to Fun City Gardens, Utawala. They are offering a range of things: corporate parties, school fun days, festive events, and magical family gatherings right in Utawala, as you can see on your screen. 3 reasons why you can visit Utawala. Maybe, Director, we can have that again. 3 reasons why they should visit Fun City Gardens. What they offer, there you have it, birthday parties, indoor games, outdoor games, Fun City mascots, restaurant, amusement park, venue for events, and much more. Their contact, as you can see, is there as well on the screen. Thank you so much for staying with us right from 6 a.m. up until now. We've come to the end of the show. My name is Anne Odida. Good morning. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah.